The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast. We have NFL news, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and MLB happenings. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove podcast.
From Belly Up Sports and the Belly Up Podcast Network, you're listening to the Sports Stove podcast with your host, Vince Stover.
Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me?
Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove podcast presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to righteousfelon.com, try out your new favorite flavor, and use the code BELLYUP to get 15% off your purchase. I'm your host, Vince Stover. I'm joined, as I am pretty much every Wednesday night, by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, how you doing?
Doing good. Just about the summertime, so a lot of sports going on.
You know, I hate to be the one to have to talk about this, but LeBron James swept out of his the conference finals. I'm not sure that that's GOAT material getting swept by the lowly Nuggets. So, it's funny. I put something on Twitter a couple days ago, the clip of LeBron James getting poked in the eye, but then acting like he got slapped in the hand and diving across the floor and into some fans and all that kind of stuff. I said that's why he'll never be the GOAT, the flopping. I never understood the flopping from the greatest player of all time. So Jeremy Hawkins, he's the D-line coach at EKU, was not a fan of that comment of mine. But nonetheless, again, I think that LeBron is a great basketball player. I think he's one of the best of all time. I do not think he is the best of all time. And I think his flopping, his mentality is what disqualifies him from being that. Not to say that Jordan never flopped, but he wasn't known for flopping. And LeBron that's one of the things LeBron is known for. He's known for great passes, big time performances and things like that. But he's also known as a flopper, and just one of the reasons why he'll never be the greatest, in my opinion, of all time. But Lakers out, Nuggets move on to the NBA championship, NBA finals. I predicted this, Dad, back at the beginning of the year with Parker Ainsworth. He's got the proof. I predicted the Nuggets would win it all this year. So I'm 4 games away from that prediction becoming true. But your Boston Celtics, who you watch every single night, study immensely, they survived last night. They're going to force a game 5. What are the chances the Celtics got enough in them to fight to the end here?
I don't know. If they can win the next one, then it could get interesting. But we'll see. I'm very disappointed in the way they played early, and was very surprised they got down, 3-0, and wasn't real sure about the game, last night. But they could make it interesting. Again, they've got a good team. They've got the people there. It would be a real shock, a real blow to Miami. Again, Butler, is a great player, and everybody enjoys watching him. And I think, he'll be something people will enjoy in the finals if he gets there. So, we'll see. Again, I always think of this time of year, Memorial Day, back in the day, it was always the Lakers and the Celtics. always watch the ball game on Monday there. But
there was a chance
anymore.
There was a chance for that too this year, but of course it didn't happen as the Lakers get swept and Celtics are on the way out here pretty soon as well. So the Heat are an interesting team, Dad. Jimmy Butler, what he's done in the playoffs these last few years has been absolutely incredible. Of course, Bam Adebayo is a Kentucky kid. Tyler Hero could possibly return for the finals if they make it there. It seems like the Nuggets are the favorite to win this at this point, but Jimmy Butler has put on quite the show, and I think he's solidified himself towards the top of active players right now. It kind of reminds me of what Kawhi did a couple of years back when Toronto won the finals. He just puts everything on his shoulder and goes with it. Now, I don't think he's quite to Kawhi's level at that point, but he's up there. Jimmy Butler has been an interesting and fun, entertaining playoff player, and he's been put into. And I think Jason Tatum is one of the most talented players in the league, but he had that 50-point performance to get to the finals, the Eastern Finals. But the Celtics, I don't know, Dad, they just don't look like they can be consistent enough to win 4 straight after being down 3-0.
Yeah, I'm not real confident in that, but hey, I'd like to win the next one, and then we'll see what happens. So,
a couple was it our last episode on? I had Parker on. I talked about some of these coaching jobs and things like that. So if you want to go back and listen to that episode, if you missed it, Phoenix Suns are down to 4 candidates. Nick Nurse, Doc Rivers being 2 of those candidates. I don't follow the Suns like I used to. I would go for Nick Nurse if I were them over Doc Rivers, in my opinion. I'm kind of out on Doc Rivers. Again, I don't think he's horrible or anything like that. I wouldn't want him to coach my team right now. I think there's better options out there than what he is. But that's just my opinion. One man for another. Man, John Morant, Dad, we haven't talked about John Morant, and I didn't send this to you pre-show, so you haven't prepared for this. But the John Morant stuff has been interesting. He posted something on Instagram today that the police went out and did a welfare check on him because they thought it looked like a suicidal kind of post. That's not the case. At least that's the report, is that wasn't the case. And I love watching John Morant play. I think that I try to get my kids to watch him to play. He's made some mistakes off the court, nothing that can't be fixed. I sure hope he gets things straightened out. I hope the league doesn't suspend him for a whole season. But he's a kid, and he's a young man, I should say, and I'd like to see him recover and do right and not get in any more trouble, because it's not necessary for the lifestyle that he lives to be doing the things that he's already been told don't do anymore. So that's what I have to say about John Morant. I don't know how much you follow that. Do you have any comments on John Morant that you want to say?
No, just, follow up a little bit. Again, I think, he's one of the products of, kids getting in the NBA so young and so early from there. But it's been that way for a while. And like you said, I hope he gets straightened away. And a good young man there from Murray State, if I remember right.
Yep. To conclude our NBA talk tonight, Dad, Boston and the Heat play Thursday night. 8-point favorites Boston is. Do you think Boston forces a game 6, or do you think the Heat wrap it up in game 5?
No, I think they'll win this one and go to game 6. So then we'll see. But they should. I mean, having the game at home there, so we'll see.
Yeah, they're the more talented team. Let's put it that way. But again, what the Heat have been able to do, I think coaching from Eric Spoelstra has been phenomenal, and it's impressive. It's impressive what Miami's doing, no doubt. Let's get the NHL stuff out of the way. I don't know anything about what's going on right now. I shouldn't say I don't know anything. I know little about what's going on right now in the playoffs. I know that tonight the Panthers and the Hurricanes will play. Florida is up 3-0 in that series. Thursday night, Golden Knights versus the Dallas Stars, and Vegas leads that series 3-0. So I'm not watching these games, Dad, but it doesn't sound very entertaining if both series are at 3-0.
No, I think it's probably disappointing a little bit for the NHL. There have been really, really good playoff games, and there have been a lot of overtime games. So I think it's been good from there. But no, both these teams, and it's funny, it's the exact opposite. Vegas has been, I think, the best team, in the West, or one of them all year. But Florida, again, I think was the 8th seed going in, of course, surprised Boston, and then just kept going through people. But they've got great hockey players. Hopefully you'll get to the NHL finals, Stanley Cup finals, and it'll be very competitive. I know the NHL would like to see 6-7 game series for sure, but I think probably both teams can close this out in their next game. So we'll see.
Carolina was the second best team in all of the NHL, but they have fallen underneath the spell of the Florida Panthers, who have been phenomenal here in these playoffs so far. Dallas and Vegas were both towards the top of the Western Conference. But again, Vegas is controlling things so far in that series. So are they both going to get swept, or are those series going to get pushed out a little bit?
I think there'll be two sweeps. I think, again, they'll finish it up and go on, but we'll see.
I wonder if anybody will be drawn in by the Florida Panthers being this underdog, last seed, fighting through everybody. Vegas, I mean, we were in Nashville in the early days of the Predators, and that grew and grew and grew. The Predators' game day experience is really, really good. Vegas came in, and they have some really awesome entertainment things that they lead into games too. They do a great job with that too. So they're a fun team to watch. That might draw some eyes, and maybe the underdog Panthers could draw some eyes too. Will they draw my eyes? Probably not, but I'll pay attention to what the score is at the very least. From there. Let's move on to the NFL, Dad. New rule change comes into place. It's basically the college football rule on kickoffs. If a fair catch is called, then you get the ball at the 25-yard line, which they're hoping will end these mid-range kickoffs kind of to the 5-yard line, where they could basically make the returner return the ball and try to set up for bad field position. Well, now they can call a fair catch at the 7, and they get the ball at the 25-yard line. Or they can call a fair catch at the 20 and get the ball at the 25-yard line as well. College has been doing this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, to some degree, I'm like, just play football. But at the end of the day, I don't really care too much about this. But I've heard some people not liking this idea. So what's your thoughts on this rule change?
Yeah, I heard some talk about it today too, and kind of thought about it a little bit. They're definitely wanting to de-emphasize the kickoff and take it out of play there a little bit. I don't think they'll ever get to where you just start at the 25. But it does affect players as far as special teams is concerned. Guys that are kickoff returners, this is definitely going to be an effect there. And like I said, guys like they mentioned today, I heard Steve Tasker, was a great special teams guy, and several guys. This kind of changes that if all of a sudden the kickoff doesn't become a big deal. And for the fans, the kickoff, has always been exciting. It's always something that you don't know about. Same way with the punt return. You just don't, you can think everything's locked up, but one move and one break, and it can be a difference. So that's been an exciting part of the game. And again, I heard a lot of talk today. Of course, the talk is safety. A lot of people getting hurt on kickoffs, but the NFL, are they consistent with that? Or are they doing other things that, you could say argue or does not help safety from there? So, again, it's something they're just going to get used to. I saw the Packers kick returner today said, hey, it's, that's the rule, and they made the rule, and that's what we'll do. So, there's no use to really, discuss a lot about it. So, I was a little surprised about that, but because again, the kickoff has been something. Again, yes, it is a dangerous play in football, but it's something that's been very exciting over the years. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't mean that they can't return kickoffs now. They can still return it if they want to. It just gives them another option. I don't know. I'm interested to see how special teams coaches adjust to this, if at all. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're starting at the 25, it's better than starting at the 45. So, I mean, touchbacks have been normalized, especially in recent years. So I don't think it's that big of a deal at this point. I don't think it influences the game a ton. It does influence the guys that are covering kicks, like you mentioned. Guys make teams based off on how they cover kicks. And now if it's going to be fair catch all the time, that guy may not stand out anymore, which could help teams out. Honestly, their roster can be guys that are a little bit more versatile in the sense that they can play a bigger role on defense or offense, whatever it may be. And you don't need those guys. But you still need them on punt teams and things like that too. So it's still there, but the opportunity is shrinking for some guys. No doubt about that. The news, there's not a lot of NFL news going on right now. There is, of course, Aaron Rodgers in New York, and he's been there working out. Small injury, nothing major. There's been one major injury so far. The Commanders lost the tight end to an Achilles injury for the season. But overall, it seems like the NFL is just kind of rolling through the process right now. But it won't be long, and we'll be into camps and headed towards preseason, a Hall of Fame game, all that good stuff coming up before too long as well. So any other NFL topics you want to talk about?
Well, the other couple rule things, I think the third quarterback, I think that was a good thing to be able to provide for that. I was a little surprised that they have to be on the roster, 56-man roster, 53-man roster, as far as now they let you bring practice squad people up. And I'm a little surprised that you couldn't activate a quarterback from the practice squad and that be your backup quarterback. So a little surprised about that. So teams, a lot of teams probably still aren't going to keep three quarterbacks on the roster, but we'll see how that affects things from there.
They will probably in the playoffs, right? Regular season, no, but I would think in the playoffs, that's where you'll see that third quarterback.
Yeah, that would make sense there. Or, of course, like I said, when you get an injury, then you can, put somebody on the active roster. The flexing the Thursday games, we kind of knew that was going to happen from there. I don't know if that's a real good idea, but again, football's all about money, and that's where things are going.
You say it's not a real good idea. It is just not for everybody. It's a great idea for Amazon Prime. It's a great idea for the NFL. It's not a great idea honestly, I think it's a great idea for most fans. It's not a great idea for all the players necessarily. It is interesting. They said you got to give a 28-day notice, I think it is, if you're going to flex the team on Thursday night. I think that gives plenty of time for fans there are some fans who will go out and buy tickets. I think it's more fans who are going to have bought tickets for a Thursday night game that gets flexed out, as opposed to guys who bought a ticket for a Sunday night game that gets flexed in to Thursday night. So, I mean, it's going to affect some fans. I think generally speaking, if you have a month to make plans, you're going to be okay. I would assume if you bought game tickets, they're going to be good for Thursday night if you already bought them for a Sunday game.
Right. I would assume. It was interesting. There were 8 teams that voted against it, and the 8 teams were all people pretty much with big fan bases. That they said, that would really affect, big fan bases as far as Sunday games are concerned, and things like that. So there seemed to be a pretty common thread with the teams that voted against it. So that was interesting.
3 of those teams were NFC North teams: Packers, Chicago, and Detroit. Minnesota, the only North team to not vote against that change. But we all know that Minnesota Viking fans don't travel, so you don't have to worry about that affecting any of their plans anyhow. It's going to be a fun season. I'm excited to get to it. I've been already thinking through our summer shows and how we're going to do some ranking things and preview things and things like that. There's plenty of things to look at in those with all the changes that's made place, all the draft picks, all the things going on. So we'll definitely look at that in the days to come. Before we switch gears into Major League Baseball, I want to let people know about Righteous Felon Jerky. If you want the purest jerky in the game, you got to go straight to the source. And Righteous Felon has partnered with the best natural Black Angus beef producers in the land to lock up supply and guarantee the best tasting, best textured, and freshest beef jerky on the market. Righteous Felon is available at righteousfelon.com. Use promo code BELLYUP. You get 15% off your purchase. Again, that's righteousfelon.com. Promo code BELLYUP, BELLYUP, for 15% off your purchase at checkout. I really like Righteous Felon Jerky. I found some flavors I really like. I love the texture, and the beef sticks are really good too. So make sure you check it out and use that promo code so that they know we sent you as well. All right, let's get into Major League Baseball. I want to start off, Dad, with Carlos Correa. In the offseason, he had the most eventful offseason, signing with the Giants, only to fail a physical. Signing with the, Mets, I think, only to fail a physical. And then ending up back in Minnesota. Well, he's injured. I have no idea if this has anything to do with those failed physicals. But according to ESPN, it says that foot and heel injuries with the MRIs, not a whole lot of other information right now. I felt like coming into this season, there was going to be a moment Carlos Correa was going to miss time just based off the fact that two teams were scared off. Now, granted, they were looking at long-term, major money deals, so maybe it has nothing to do with those physicals. Who knows? But just a matter of time before Carlos Correa was going to miss time, and it seems like the time is now.
Yes, that definitely is where it is, and we'll see where it's going. The Twins have done well, and we'll see if they can hang in there through this.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the standings here in just a moment. It is interesting to see it and how it'll play out. We will see. There's been a lot of injuries. I believe on Sunday night we're going to try to have our injured list podcast host come on the show and talk through some of these injuries with us. But man, it's been crazy to watch. I know for the Brewers, they've lost pitchers. It's been a rough deal. They went out and signed a veteran pitcher this week, so we'll see how that shakes out. But injuries are a big part of it. I know not just injuries, but players that were supposed to be really good that haven't been good. Jose Abreu, for example, not been great. Corey Kluber, he's getting moved to the bullpen, I saw as well this week. So lots of things happening. The A's and Las Vegas apparently have a deal in place to move the A's officially to Vegas, which is not surprising. We talked about this before. Vegas has NFL, has NHL, is about to get Major League Baseball, and has been rumored to be getting NBA team as well. And Vegas is one of those spots that just makes sense, I suppose, for Major League teams. So that's intriguing. And then Tampa Bay, Dad, is got a possible suitor to buy the team. And it's been crazy to see these crowds. Tampa has been so good this year, and they cannot fill a stadium to save their lives, it seems like. So what will it take for Tampa to get the community behind them?
I don't, like I said, that's surprising from there. And of course, the Rays are, kind of the big team in the area right now, with the Bucks kind of in flux there. So I'm not sure. It's been a little different down there. I'm trying to think where the stadium is right now. I know for a while it was in St. Pete. And so there was a little bit of back and forth, was it Tampa's team? Was it there? And, there's enough fans there. You would think none of that would really be a problem. But, as good as they are, that would be very surprising, for that team to move. So.
Yeah, I drove past their stadium last time I was down in Florida because we were going from Tampa area over to some other place. But drove right past the stadium. It's not, super nice. It's a dome. Not super nice or anything like that. But I guess they've had issues with building a new one and everything as well. It's not been an area where they've been able to find a permanent place where they knew they were going to be for many, many years. So we'll see what happens if they get it sold or not. It's just outside of St. Pete. But I don't know. That's crazy that you can have a team as good as Tampa has been over the last several years and as good as they are this year. They should not be struggling to get attendance into their stadium. So let's start with the AL East, Dad. Tampa is still 3 games up on Baltimore. The Yankees are now 5 games back. They're on a 5-game win streak. They've been really sharp as of late. The Red Sox and the Blue Jays are 8.5 back. Red Sox on a losing streak currently, and the Toronto has not looked good as of late either. Yet all of these teams, all 5 AL East teams, are above 500, and they're the only place that can say that. So it's an intriguing division, and I think it's going to be close all the way through. But Tampa got such that great head start. Do we think they can hold on to it throughout the year, or are they going to get caught eventually by the Yankees or by somebody else?
Yeah, well, with the way they're playing, I think there's a good chance they could hold on. But like you said, that's an interesting division when they're all above 500. So it's not like somebody is just, every time you play them, you're going to be okay. These guys were all really competitive, and they'll probably all move around. I think Toronto will get back up. Boston's probably been a little bit of a surprise. Of course, we knew going into the season Baltimore could be a lot better. And, again, keeping up with it quite a bit on fantasy baseball, there's a lot of good players in that division, and they're playing well. So, that division is definitely the power division right now.
Yeah, Tampa has a 107-point differential right now. That's the second highest to the Texas Rangers. But they've scored 297 runs, only given up 190, which is a league best. No, it's not a league best. I apologize. Minnesota has the league best of 185. But Baltimore is interesting because they have not yet lost double digits at home or away. So they're 15-8 at home, 16-9 on the road. They're the only team left in Major League Baseball that has yet to lose 10 games in both away and home stadiums. And they have been sharp. They're young. They're exciting. There's a lot of good things in Baltimore. I wonder if their pitching can hold up. But to be fair, New York's pitching has to hold up. Boston's pitching has not held up. The Blue Jays should have really good pitching. They've not been great either. So there's a lot of intrigue around this division for sure. The AL Central, Minnesota leads the way. They're 3 games up on the Tigers of all people. But Minnesota is the only team in the AL Central above 500. The Tigers, like I said, are 3 back. Cleveland, 4.5 back. Chicago, 5.5 back. And the Royals, you can just go ahead and write them off. I'm surprised by the Tigers being up here, even though they're 21-25. They are still in the hunt in the AL Central. And Cleveland, I don't know what's going on in Cleveland, but it's not been pretty. They've not been able to score runs so far this season. So we know Minnesota was going to be good coming into it. We thought it was kind of a race between Minnesota and Cleveland, and I thought Chicago would be better than they are. But Detroit's hanging in there. What do you think about the Central race right now?
Well, yeah, Milwaukee definitely, Minnesota is the team right now. No doubt about that. But, Detroit's been a real surprise. I think Cleveland, will definitely rebound. Like I said, the White Sox, have definitely been a disappointment there. So we'll see. I think, Minnesota will hold up right now. Their pitching, I think, is doing well. I've got several of their pitchers in fantasy, so I kind of follow them a little bit. And, if you got good pitching, you can stay right in there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know Detroit, they got 3 guys who are supposed to be good that have yet to been great. And they've held their own. Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson are the 2 young guys. Javier Baez came in free agency last year, and they're all holding their own now, which keeps the Tigers in the hunt at the very least. And then the pitching has overachieved pretty much at this point. Again, not great, except for Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been really, really good. He's 4-4, but he's got a 2.19 ERA. He's been solid. He's 61 strikeouts in 61.2 innings. So he's rolling. Everybody else is kind of, not been great. But Eduardo Rodriguez is carrying the Detroit team right now. AL West is another fun division. The Rangers have been in first place for a while now. They're 3 games up on the Houston Astros, who are starting to get healthy, which could be a scary thing for the division. The Angels are still hanging around. 4 of the 5 West teams are above 500, save the Oakland Athletics, who are 10-40 and have a negative 178 run differential. But I like what the Rangers are doing, Dad, and I think this is a team that could possibly hold on, although I still would say the Astros are going to win this division. The Rangers have been pretty solid so far.
They have been, but like you said, there's 4 teams there above 500, so people could stay in this. Will be interesting to see. We've talked before the season started about the Angels. Be great, to see them, do better, and they have improved at this point. I would think Houston, though, will definitely rebound and see, but Texas played awful good baseball, so it'll be interesting to see. We get to the All-Star break where things are, But I would think Houston would be still the team there to beat. So.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom has been phenomenal in Texas, except for he's only pitched 30 innings, 6 games, 30 innings. He's got 45 strikeouts, 2.67 ERA. And when he's healthy, he's great. But that has been the concern the whole time is could he stay healthy? Nathan Eovaldi's had a really good season so far for Texas. Martin Perez, John Gray are surviving, and Andrew Haney as well has done some good things. I kind of have written off the Angels and the Mariners as contenders. Not to say they can't make the playoffs. I just feel like it's Texas and Houston right now in that division. The National League, the East, again, is always an interesting fight in the East, but only 2 teams over 500, which just blows my mind. Atlanta has been really good. They've battled through injuries and adversity, yet here they sit 4.5 up on the Mets. The Marlins are hanging around. They're at 24-25. The Philadelphia Phillies, though, Dad, 23-26, 6.5 back, negative 31 point differential, lost 7 of their last 10, have only won 9 games on the road. This Phillies team is stacked. How are they not doing better than what they're doing right now?
Yeah, like I said, looking at it preseason, there'd be no problem, that they'd be one of the top teams, and they just have not performed. So I don't know what all the deal is, but like I said, the Mets have gotten, hot again and gotten up there in second place. So I don't know if Philadelphia, could get themselves on the spot where they can't catch back up to even get in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah, their pitching has been atrocious, especially their starting pitching. Aaron Nola, supposed to be an ace. He's 4-3, 4.31 ERA. Not been what he was supposed to be. Zach Wheeler has been slightly better, but not much better. The pitching has been really, really rough for Philadelphia. I knew their bullpen could have trouble, but their starting pitchers being so bad is truly surprising. And then I'm impressed that with Atlanta, they've had some injuries, and their pitching staff has been beaten up, yet they're sitting at the top of the division, maybe in some part with the fact that the rest of the division hasn't been great. But Ronald Acuna Jr. is all in. I mean, everything he does seems to be working. He's been a fun watch so far this year, hitting .337, 11 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He's been everything they needed this year.
No, he's been great. And like I said, the Braves right now kind of have things in control. It looks like they're doing well. Like I said, they have had some injuries and they battled through that. So,
Yeah, they're surviving. Spencer Strider, who was really good last year, has continued to be good. Bryce Elder has showed up this year. He's 3-0 on the year, 2.06 ERA. He's not getting a ton of strikeouts, but he's striking some guys out. Charlie Morton's still surviving. But it's an interesting team, and they look like they've got control of the East as of right now. NL Central, Milwaukee is on top of a struggling division. Pittsburgh still above 500. They're 2 games back from Milwaukee. The Cubs 5 games back. The Cardinals finally woke up. They're 5.5 back. I wonder if it's too little, too late for St. Louis, but only 5.5 back this early in the season. Seems like they got plenty of time. You are surprised St. Louis started off so bad. Are you surprised that they're finally getting on track?
No, I mean, again, you wouldn't think, they were going to be as bad as they started out. So the Cardinals always have a habit of being able to get stronger. Again, I don't know that they have the pitching that they need to really make a move in that. Milwaukee, of course, is in good shape. And I don't think Pittsburgh is necessarily going to go away. They're not as hot as they were, but they may stay. They may stay up there, at least in a shot at the playoffs for a while.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I feel very comfortable saying the Pirates will not be around at the end of the year as legit playoff contenders. I don't think they'll be in the hunt come All-Star break or shortly after. But St. Louis, on the other hand, again, pitching has been their downfall so far this year. They do not have a starting pitcher under 4.55 in the ERA. Jordan Montgomery, Miles Mikolas, Jack Flaherty, and Adam Wainwright recently back. It has been ugly, and that is an understatement from the Cardinals. Both the starting and the pen have been rough. But like I said, they've kind of found their footing. 7 of their last 10. They've looked good as of late, and maybe they're turning things around. And I actually kind of like what the Cubs have done, although it's been a rough week for them. I still think that it'll go Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs, Pirates, and the Reds. Well, the Reds, they're still in the division, but it looks like their hopes are smashed. They've not been good as of late, especially. In the NL West, Dad, this might be the most intriguing division. I think the AL East is the best division, but the NL West is interesting. The Dodgers started off slow. Now they're at the top, 2 games up. The Diamondbacks refuse to go away. The Giants are at 6.5 back. They've had a really good week. The Padres, another team like the Phillies that have all this talent but have yet to figure it out. Did the Padres make a run here in the middle of the season, or are we just going to bury them?
Yeah, I don't know that the Padres were going to. Again, it looked like first of the year that would be by far one of the power teams, but they got a lot of talent, but they've not been able to put it all together. I don't know, you know more than I do, but the pitching I don't think has probably been great there, and they do have a lot of great players, but the Diamondbacks, like you said, have been surprising and done well, and I think the Giants can hang around. Like I said, they've had a real good run here in the last 10 games. And that division could stay close. Usually the Dodgers would run away with it, but the Dodgers have not been the Dodgers of old, even though I think, they're probably the favorite to win the division. So I think you're right. That's an intriguing division, and, could go up and down here. I don't know that I see the Padres making – it could be hard to make a run because I think, again, the Diamondbacks, Giants, Dodgers, we'll all give them trouble when they play them head up, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Fernando Tatis has been really good since his return from suspension. Juan Soto has been fine, but not really living up to the expectation. Xander Bogaerts has been a good addition, but not great. No Padres player has hit double-digit home runs yet this season. There's a lot that left to be desired, I guess, in San Diego. And then you brought up the pitching as well. It's been average at best. Yu Darvish, 3.67 ERA. Michael Wacha, 3.58 ERA. Blake Snell, 5.40. That's stuff you cannot have. Joe Musgrove, 6.75. This has not been what they hoped it would be. Although Josh Hader seems to have returned to form. He has a 0.90 ERA so far this season, and 20 innings pitched, 27 strikeouts. He's been really, really solid again. But, yeah, the pitching, again, you look at St. Louis, you look at Philadelphia, you look at San Diego. Pitching has been the problem for those teams. And the Dodgers, Dad, they're not the team that they've been in the past because they don't have the players they've had in the past yet. They've been really good at home, and I think the division as it's close. I don't think it's great. I don't think you're getting a World Series champion out of the NL West this year. You're probably more likely to get out of the NL East this year. So it's an interesting division. It's been an interesting season so far. I really feel like we have teams settling into who they are. Cincinnati's that way. Colorado's that way. I think Pittsburgh's that way as they're kind of becoming what we thought they were a little bit more. St. Louis, they're starting to play well, so they are what we expect out of them. But Philadelphia and San Diego are probably the 2 teams that I look at and go, and Toronto, I'll throw Toronto in there too, are the 3 teams that I'm sitting there going, why in the world are they not having a better season? And I'm not sure we're going to get an answer to that, but I'm guessing somebody's going to get fired if it doesn't get fixed soon in those places there as well. Any other Major League Baseball comments?
No, like I said, been fun season to keep up with so far, and as we get into summer, that's the big sport. So we're doing good.
Yeah, golf is in full swing. They had an exciting tournament this past week. NASCAR's in Charlotte this weekend as well. Always a fun time. So there's plenty of things still going on, and we'll see how the NBA and NHL shakes out here as the seasons come to an end. Anything else we need to talk about, Dad?
No, I mean, congratulations to Green Bay as far as getting the 2025 draft. Something they've been working on for a while. It'll be a big, big thing in the community up there. A big boost, and I think it'll be the draft has become such a big thing, but I think having it in Green Bay with the history, I think will, be quite a thing for the NFL. And, they're very excited about it. They've worked on it for a long time, thought it was going to happen, and now that it has, so that's been the big news up there this week.
Yeah, if you're an NFL purist and you've never been to Green Bay, that would be a good time to go. It's quite the place, and it should be a fun time. I think for sure for the Green Bay NFL draft of 25, right? 2025.
25.
Yeah. It should be a good time as well. All right. Don't forget to go visit righteousfelon.com to get yourself some jerky. Use promo code BELLYUP for 15% off your purchase. Tune in Sunday night for a live Sports Stove fantasy baseball show. Will be at 8 o'clock on the Sports Stove YouTube and the Belly Up Fantasy Facebook page. I'm not sure if we're going to get a local hour this week. Baseball is in the ASUN tournament in pool play right now. They got a game Thursday. I'm not sure that I can get guys on Friday, so we'll play that by ear. But we got a busy summer coming up with the Sports Stove. Some neat stuff coming down the line here, and we'll hopefully be announcing some of that stuff in the next couple of weeks. But thanks for tuning in tonight. Follow us on social media at Sports Stove on Twitter and Instagram. And if you missed any part of the live episode, you can always go back and catch the whole thing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts as well. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Sports Stove Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.